getting compromised as a synecdoche for Strife in Star Trek. Strange New Worlds. The concept of compromise is a delicate dance, one that can be both a necessary evil and a slippery slope. In the world of Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, Captain Pike's crew often finds themselves navigating the complexities of compromise, particularly when dealing with the complexities of alien cultures. At its core, compromise is a form of synecdoche, a figure of speech where a part represents the whole. When we compromise, we are not just giving up something, we are giving up a piece of ourselves. It's a surrender of our values, our principles, and our sense of self. In the context of the show, compromise often manifests as a moral gray area. The crew of the Enterprise is frequently faced with difficult decisions that require them to weigh the greater good against individual rights and freedoms. They must navigate the fine line between cooperation and capitulation, between understanding and exploitation. The character of Captain Pike, in particular, is a master of compromise. His willingness to listen and adapt is a hallmark of his leadership style, but it also makes him vulnerable to the whims of those around him. He's a man who understands that sometimes the only way to achieve a greater good is to sacrifice a piece of himself. But compromise can also be a form of internalized oppression. When we compromise our values and principles, we are not just giving up something external, we are also giving up a part of ourselves. We are internalizing the expectations and pressures of those around us, and losing sight of our own agency and autonomy. In the world of Star Trek, this is often represented by the character of Number One, who struggles with the constraints of her own identity and the expectations placed upon her by her crewmates. Her desire for autonomy and self-expression is constantly at odds with the need for compromise and cooperation. Ultimately, the show suggests that compromise is a necessary evil, but it's also a double-edged sword. When we compromise, we are not just giving up something, we are also gaining something. We are gaining a sense of community, of cooperation, and of shared understanding. But we are also losing something, something essential to who we are as individuals. As we navigate the complexities of compromise in our own lives, we do well to remember the lessons of Star Trek, Strange New Worlds. We must be willing to listen, to adapt, and to sacrifice. But we must also be mindful of the parts of ourselves that we are giving up. We must be willing to hold onto our values and principles, even when the world around us is telling us to let go.